Hey everyone, I hope that you're doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha and I welcome you to my channel. As always, I'm so grateful that you're listening, subscribing, and commenting. I really appreciate the support. Matt Billingsley, one of the viewers, I don't know if he wanted me to say his name, but I did, I'm sorry. He was asking me to expand upon the victim mindset that I spoke about in an episode. I think this is what he asked, is that he wanted me to expand on what it means and how to get over it and how I got over it, what I did exactly. And it's kind of funny because in hindsight, I'm looking back and I was looking back on my life and I'm like, all right, what did I do to get out of this victim mindset? And, I started analyzing it and I'm like, I actually have no idea. But of course, I kind of analyzed a bit more because at first I was like, I have no idea what I did. Oh my God, what am I going to do? And then I started thinking about it and I found a couple of things. I was like, oh, all right, yeah, that's what I did. Okay, that makes sense. Now, of course, I'm always going to tell you guys the same thing over and over again, is that meditation is one of the keys to actually figuring out that you're not a victim anymore. Because one of the main things about the victim mindset is that you're pushing off responsibility for your feelings, your emotions, your life, whatever it might be. You're blaming someone else for your misfortunes. Now, I'm not saying that every single case that's not the case. Sometimes there is a person responsible for your misfortune. For example, if you had $100,000 in savings and you gave that to your brother or your husband, and they used it and they lost it, then of course, your poverty is a result of their bad decisions. But it actually first started with your bad decision. You were the one who gave that money over to them. You were the one who was like, all right, I'm giving the responsibility of my money to you. And so that's your fault in the beginning, right? That's your irresponsibility. Responsibility versus irresponsibility. I think the problem with this word is that it has a very negative connotation. Because from the time we were children, we were told, oh, you're such an irresponsible person. And we took it as a negative thing. It doesn't mean that if you're a responsible person, it's actually it's the opposite of irresponsible. I think we kind of have the meaning wrong in our head. And so I wanted to kind of clarify the meaning first. The meaning that made sense to me and helped me out, so that hopefully it helps you out as well. Being responsible doesn't mean that you are staid and boring and diligent and disciplined and you do everything right. That's not the meaning of being responsible. When you're being responsible in the meditation term, in the Buddhist term, in the spiritual term, it's not that you're becoming this very disciplined individual, but what you're doing is that you're realizing that everything in your life is under your control. Everything is under your control. The weather, of course, is not under your control, right? But everything that your responsibility is to your reactions, your attitudes, the way you deal with all of the stuff that happens in your life. There's always two different ways to deal with something. All right, so very simple. If it is raining, right? So you get out of your office and you're going to walk home, and you realize, oh no, it's raining. You're standing outside or outdoors, or standing in the lobby of your building and thinking, oh no, how am I going to get home? I hate this. And then some people will kind of take the victim mindset. Oh my God, it had to happen today. I didn't have any lunch and now I won't be able to have dinner on time. I'm so hungry. Everyone hates me. It's because the universe hates me. This life sucks. I wish I was doing something different. And then you kind of spiral into, I hate my life and I hate my world and I hate everyone and everyone hates me, right? That's the victim mindset, of course. And then the opposite way of taking responsibility for the action or for their life is saying, right, it was my fault. I should have checked the weather before I left. I did not realize it was going to rain. What am I going to do in this moment in order to take control of the situation? And in that moment, perhaps you notice that a person's selling umbrellas, or perhaps you notice that a friend of yours has an umbrella, and you can be like, can you take me up to the TTC station under your umbrella? Or you can be like, well, I guess I'm going to have to use my bag as an umbrella until I get to the subway station or to the metro or whatever, right? I'm kind of making an example here. It's a very simple example. But I think it kind of can be translated to everything else that we do in our life as well. It's not about becoming disciplined or diligent or boring or staid, but about taking responsibility for everything that happens. You're not necessarily responsible for the rain, but you're responsible for your reaction, your attitude towards the rain. The same thing in the victim mindset. What we do in the victim mindset is that we kind of it's true. We kind of give away responsibility for everything to someone else. Oh, the reason I am this way is because of my parents. The reason I am that way is because of my mother. The reason I'm this way is because of my ex-boyfriend. The reason I'm that way is because of the narcissistic person that was in my life. And so little by little, everything that we are, everything that we do is pushed away. The responsibility for it is pushed away to someone else. We're not responsible anymore. Everyone else is to blame, not us. And I know a lot of you guys, and I know particularly two people who are going to say, and I know who you two are, and you're going to comment saying, no, but it's not my responsibility, it's theirs, and they're at fault. And I'm not saying that they're not responsible. I'm saying that it is your responsibility to take it back upon your shoulders and say, they might have done what they did, because that's something you can't change. But what I can change is my reaction to it. Because as you've heard the saying probably a billion times before, it's by Buddha, and it says something like, you know, anger or resentment or whatever it might be is like holding on to a piece of hot coal and hoping that it burns the other person. It won't. And so what we do with this victim mindset is we imagine that we're hurting the other person by holding on to this victim mindset. Oh, if I pretend to be a victim, it's going to hurt that other person. It does not hurt that other person. It only hurts you. You're holding on to that piece of hot coal, and it's going to hurt you until you die. No one else is going to be affected by it. That person that you're pretending to play the victim role for, your mother or father, they're going to be long dead and you're still going to be playing that role. It's not going to affect them. They won't care about it. Over and over again, I realized that in my life. I realized that I was blaming my parents for this and that. I was blaming my ex-boyfriend for that and this. And I was blaming my grandparents, my heritage, my Indian origin, you know, the fact that I'm tall, the fact that I'm this, that. There was all these things that I could blame for what was going on in my life. And I think I usually notice that the people who are playing the victim mindset are the ones who are not doing terribly well in life. They're not doing, I shouldn't say terribly well, they're not living up to their potential. And it's very hard. It's actually the scariest thing in the world to live up to your potential, or try to live up to your potential, because you never will reach there. But to kind of push forward is so difficult. It's so scary. And instead of actually doing that, instead of living up to your potential, we imagine that it's easier to blame someone else and give them the responsibility. Oh, right, it's not my responsibility anymore because I can't live up to my potential, because it's this and that person's fault, and this thing's fault, and that thing's fault. And with the victim mindset, we're able to be like, okay, good, feel a sense of relief. I don't have to work at my potential anymore because all of those people are to blame. The responsibility part comes when you're like, all right, yeah, maybe they're to blame. Maybe it's because I'm very tall. Maybe that's the reason I failed in everything in life. Sounds ridiculous, but that's the kind of excuses I made. And so maybe that's the reason. But what can I do from now on? What can I change from this point onward? What changes can I make in my life from now on? How can I take responsibility back upon my shoulders? In the example that I gave, you know, that you gave $100,000 to your brother or your friend to invest for you and they lost it, you can either sit there and mourn for the rest of your life that you're poor, or you can be like, well, okay, that money's gone. I'm going to do as much as I can with the lawyers and stuff, but I might not get that money back. What I can do from now on is rebuild my savings. And it's very difficult because you want to hold on to that resentment. You want to hold on to that hot coal because you think that it's hurting that other person, but it's not. The only person who's going to be affected by it is you. Your brother or your friend who scammed you is going to be long gone with that cash. They won't care. No one's going to care, actually. The other thing that we do as a victim mindset, and I know a lot of people who do this, is that we don't actually blame the person that's responsible for it, for the actions. We'll blame someone else. For example, I know that people in my friend circle, when someone is annoying them in their relationship, it might be a boyfriend or their mother, they will come and blame one of their friends for it. They'll start crying about it and moaning to their friends, blaming them for it. Oh, it's your fault, you introduced me to that person, or it's your fault, you didn't tell me that it was supposed to be on this day. And so instead of actually holding the actual person responsible and saying it's your fault and having a conversation about it, they go and start blaming someone else because it's easier. It's hard to blame the actual person because then you have to have a real conversation. You have to have a confrontation, and a lot of us are not good at that. It's easier to just blame some random little individual. That's one of the reasons why a lot of parents, or especially fathers and mothers, especially fathers actually, I would say, in my opinion, in my experience, they will deal with all of these resentments at work and things like that, and then they'll come home and take it out on their children and their wives. Why do they do that? Because they're an easy victim. It's harder for them to actually have a conversation with their boss and tell them, you're treating me improperly, don't do that anymore, I'm going to leave. Instead of doing that, they'll just come home and treat their wives and children poorly, hit them, beat them, abuse them physically and mentally, etc. Right? And so I think the victim mindset is the easier path. It might not seem like that, and you're probably in there sitting, oh no, it's so hard, my life is so difficult, you have no idea, you have no idea. And that's one of the things I hear a lot from people messaging me. You have no idea what my life is like, you have an easy life, you've made it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, you know, I don't know what to tell you at that point. And that's one of the things, I actually don't even interact with people with the victim mindset anymore. I don't even say anything back to them because they're so ingrained into their mindset, they just can't get out of it. And there's a bunch of people on the comments section that I'll just say thanks for watching every single time, because they're literally so ingrained into their drama that they cannot get out of it and they cannot see anything straight anymore. And you know who I'm talking about. You've seen their comments on the channel yourself. It's just not possible for them. Something has to happen, something has to trigger them very hard in order for them to get out of it, because they've been playing that role of the victim, of poor me, for years and decades now, that it's become a part of their personality. There's no way for them to stop. I hope this helps. Again, if you want me to add to this, I can. There's a lot more I can say on the subject, but I want to keep this short as much as possible. It's already 12 minutes long, but hopefully this helps. Again, it is some of the things that are hard to hear, and I know it was very hard for me to first hear it when I started reading about the victim mindset and realizing I'm playing this role. Oh my God. And so hopefully this helps. If you have questions, comment below and I shall do a follow-up video. Again, thank you so much for watching. I shall see you the next time around. Bye for now.